Hello, my name is Green, and today I'm going to be doing a few more building tips, but this time I'm focusing entirely on furniture. I'm going to be covering 4 segments: chairs, beds, storage, and tables. I tried to think of all the ones I possibly could and have used in the past. You will, and I promise you will, know some of these already, so please don't tell me in the comments, oh, I know all of these. I'm hoping that I will teach you at least one you didn't know, or more importantly, inspire you to create one of your own because you got a sudden burst of inspiration on how to use a block in a different way. Let's get right into it, starting with the chairs. So the first one is the most simple, and you would have come across this everywhere, so I don't really need to explain too much, that I hope. I will circle around everyone individually just so you can know how to make it. And again, the same thing, but with a half slab, so it's just a tiny little stool. Now we get into the more interesting ones made with staircases and blocks, and then I've added some signs on the side just to make it a little bit more detailed, and then we have one size up, and then again to the right of it, another size up. These are really great and a lot larger scale than what is normal, like, the vanilla Minecraft ones, the ones that I showed you right at the beginning with the signs. Next up we have a couch or a sofa, almost reminiscent of the ones from The Simpsons. You could add more details to add cushions, but I prefer it like that. Here we have exactly the same designs from the start, but with a fence block to make them higher up in stools like a barber. Next up, we have a beach lounger, so it's just a stretched out version of the first one. You can get the idea that all of these are variations. This one is more like an armchair, using snow and utilizing the fact that I can make variations of height with it. The next one is a little bit odd and very specific. It's good for really long chains. You use the fence gate and the oak stairs. And we're going back to some similar designs, but instead we're using trapdoors again, and on the right we're using trapdoors and a normal door. Here, utilizing snow again, we use wool to create a sofa, and finally we have a throne, and you could come up with your own designs and make them more elaborate or less elaborate if you want that. So now we're going to move away from the chairs, but have a quick look through at what we've had a look at so far before we move on to storage, which is a little bit more interesting than the chairs. You've probably seen quite a lot of those designs. So let's get on with the tables. First up, probably the most common one, using stairs and half slabs with a little bit of decoration on the top. You can make any sort of table using these in different shapes. Next up, though, might be an idea that you haven't considered before. Using signs and making sure you have string underneath, you put carpet on top to create a rather modern looking table for those of you that like a thinner build. Now, most people use pistons like this with redstone block underneath to have them raised up, but if you're able to use World Edit, you can have these blocks here like this with just the piston head, although these tables are not my favourite. Now, next up we have a different kind of table using a singular centered foot instead of 4, but it's only using staircase blocks, so it's quite easy to make. It's not everyone's cup of tea and it is very simple, but it does match some interiors. Next up we have a similar design to the first one, but instead of using signs we are using fences, and I used a particular set of colours to make it look like a ping pong table to try and inspire you a little bit. Next up we have a similar design to the original ones, but using half slabs at a bigger scale. So you can see that I've used a larger scale chair just so you can see how you can utilise it. This one's a little bit weird, and you will need World Edit, but you could use ladders as coffee table legs, but it does look a little bit funky. Next up, we have something more contemporary and modern, using glass as a base and then carpet on top, so you can have a coloured table if you'd like. Not sure where you'd use it though. Next up's a bit interesting. We're using false perception here. Using the base as a half slab, you can have more stumpy legs and have a shorter table, which is rather handy because Minecraft people are quite short. And finally we have a very simple cobblestone coffee table at the end, which I just squeezed in there. Now we want to move on to storage. Now, storage is very useful as a space filler. They don't actually work very well. You can use just chests anywhere. So first up we have a wardrobe. Open up the doors, made of doors and trapdoors. Very simple. Using the same design but perhaps a little bit wider, we just have a set of shelves. And then to the right of that we have another one, but utilizing both staircase and half slab with multiple designs to give it more of a modern contemporary look. And again using the same design, but this time putting bookshelves behind the shelves so that it has a texture. Now, here is a bunch of stuff for a kitchen design. Especially take note of just the normal blocks with the item frames on, with the carpet, so it looks like they have like a little handle to open them with. It's very fine details. I feel like interior and decoration like this are all about how many little details you can shove into this. So yeah, there's lots of things there to take note of. Here's something that I actually saw online. It's nothing to do with me, but I thought it was rather cool. You can create a design like this to have in a modern contemporary house. You have to use half slab and staircase as usual, but utilize them in a way that allows you to make them step by step up to the right hand corner. And finally, we have just some normal shelves and a laptop there on the desk, just to give you some ideas of potential decorations and furniture for your house. Going all the way back through, we can now move on to the next one, which is sort of miscellaneous and decorations that you can use as filler. So the first one is just a simple clock. You may have seen that before. The next one is a microwave. I personally quite like this. It's very simple and elegant, but again, only fits in something modern. There is a fridge, freezer. Here's a potted plant using Podzol. It's all very useful. The next one is a toilet. I have shown some of these in a previous video, but I thought I'd plonk them in here anyway. And the most useful thing about this one is the toilet roll, using the item frame and some quartz. Here is an aquarium. You could come up with your own design. The simple thing is having the ice and then vines and fish behind it to try and simulate that aquarium feel. Next up, we have a modern TV, just a large flat screen TV. Very easy. You can put paintings over the top to make it look like it's actually playing something. Not particularly my favourite. Next up, we have a simple potted plant, but with vines on it to give it that extra texture layer. Next, we have potted flowers. Very simple, no need for explanation. And next up, we have a bedside table with a lamp on it using sea lanterns. This is possibly the worst design ever, but you get the idea. You can create an armor stand case using glass. And then finally, we have a rather odd and sort of thrown in there furnace that also has some hidden furnace storage in it for you to make it look like you're actually smelting stuff. Just an idea. Now moving swiftly on to the last segment which I want to cover, which is beds. These are quite interesting and you only use them once or twice in a house, but let's get going. Here's a sign-based cot with my name on it. Very easy to make. And then using a similar design but using wool, you can make another bed up again on the scale. And then taking it down a notch, you can use half slabs and stairs to create a very shallow looking bed that is more towards the size of a player. But now we're going to take it one step further with a 4-poster bed. I'm going to circle around this one a few times just so that you can see the design. It gets a bit intricate in places, but you can see how this bed might fit really nicely into some sort of mansion or anything like that. In fact, we used it in a mansion for Wingcraft. So that's why I wanted to show it to you. I thought it looked really great and you could use it yourself. Of course, you don't have to use the particular palette that we did. You could use wood or whatever else works with some fences. And here we have the slightly simpler version of a master bed, but instead of having it 4-poster and having the roof on the top, it's just a simple, nice bed. It looks like something my parents would have, to be honest with you. So that's using exactly the same concept, but with a little bit more detail. And again, and my favourite thing about this is that you can jump on it, because underneath the carpet is slime blocks, so you can constantly jump on it and bounce on it like it's a real bed. I thought that was a really nice touch, something that people may not have considered properly. So there you go, I'll just show you the slime block underneath, and there you go, very easy to do. Moving on, I want to show you a few ideas for bunk beds. They're all relatively simple designs, but they're quite effective. Some of these might fit in, say, a ship or something like that, because they almost look a bit like hammocks. Or you could use them as a children's bedroom's bed and have them like that, just utilizing some of the ideas from before but using them in a slightly different way. And finally, we have just a very simple one, and I hope that some of these have struck your imagination. And that's it from me. We've gone through quite a lot of design ideas. I tried to come up with as many as possible, which isn't always too easy, but I hope some of these have enlightened you or given you some ideas that you haven't had before. And that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. I do want to say before I sign off that you will have seen some of these designs before. Please don't go in the comments saying, oh, I know this one, you copied so-and-so. I don't know. I just put down on that little map there as many as I knew from my experience building the RPG map. So please don't go around saying that I stole someone's X's idea or whatever idea or Y's idea. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm here to show you what I can do, and I just want you to enjoy it. And not only that, I want you to try and come up with your own ideas. If you've come up with something or have previously come up with something, send me a tweet with that picture, because I'd love to know. I'd love to use it in my maps. I'd love to utilize it. I'm always down to learn new things to build. Alright, that was just the last side note from me. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye!